everybody. Thanks for coming to the Monday live stream. We're just going to wait a couple of minutes as we wait for people to get in. If you haven't already, please hit the like button and please share the stream if you haven't done it today. I'm just going to talk a little bit about facing addiction as a Hyperian. everybody, let's get those purple faces going, and we shall start the topic again. Thank you, everybody, for arriving. We got the Monday crew going on. Monday is free. There you go. Okay, we're getting started in just a moment. Let's just purple faces, thank you. Purple places, faces. Purple faces, and we shall get started. Hopefully. Our, sorry, our sound levels should be fine. Sound is good. Well, okay, let's go to Big Face. And hello. How's it going, everybody? This is Mindful Monad. My name is Jen Erickson. This is my YouTube channel, and this is where we talk about Hyperianism and interstar actualization, or more. So Mondays we are live streaming now, and for a short period of time with more of an intentional subject. Whereas Fridays, when we do live streaming, it is something that is more reactionary and random. But today I almost didn't live stream because, one, I had a doctor's appointment like over the phone, and I had no idea when the doctor was calling, so that was a bit uneasy. And then two, I had to take my car to get 2 tires replaced, get 2 brand new tires on, and I was also not sure when the place was going to call me and inform me that my tires had been delivered. So I almost did not live stream today at all. So by the time I got that taken care of, which was funny because both happened at once, so while I was at the shop with all the drilling and the loud machinery going, I was on the phone with my doctor, like taking care of some things and prescriptions. But anyway, so when all of that got done, I'm like, what am I going to talk about? And one thing that's been in my personal focus as far as my own personal inner star actualization and just constantly being on a road of improvement is recently I have finally kicked smoking cigarettes. And it's so funny because I think I've seen cigarettes mentioned like twice now in the chat. I've been clean cold turkey off cigarettes now for a full week. So, and it wasn't easy. This is not easy. It's not like, oh, I'm done. Like, I'm finished. Like, haha, I beat it. Like, I'm still on this journey of avoiding cigarettes, and not just cigarettes, but I have a very addictive personality and just avatar with addictive issues. And so I thought it would be interesting to sort of open up and talk about it a little bit about the concept of struggling with addiction as a Hyperian, because when you're Hyperian, you view the world in a much different way than the average bear or the average person. And with that comes some questions of like, what is addiction in the perspective of a Hyperion? Like, where does it affect you exactly? And, like, what can you do to overcome it? Because it's not perfect. I'm going to tell you now, when it comes to the path of inner star actualization in Hyperianism, things aren't always perfect. It's not always a graceful experience. Sometimes it's very ugly. You ugly cry and ugly things happen. And then you get some beauty and some growth out of it. But in my personal experience, when it comes to overcoming addiction or addiction, things that like substance abuse and stuff, it's a very ugly path. But I find when I climb my way up that hill, I get up to the top, things look a lot brighter. But before we get into that subject entirely, I just wanted to say hello. I know the Monday stream is a bit smaller because mostly we are used to streaming on Fridays where people are more available. So, hello, Akiko. Hello, Robert. Hello, Cassidy. Good to see you. Hello, Zero. Good to see you. Who else? We have Anti-Crisis. We have Paul Cherry. Good to see you. R1. Good to see you. And yes, anybody else I missed? Let me know. Howdy, howdy, howdy. So I figured I'd just kind of open up about a little bit of my own personal struggle of facing addiction, and at the end of this, sort of start a little challenge, a challenge for all of us to like try and overcome some addictive tendencies. Now, in some cases, depending on the substance you're on, I don't know. I'm not trying to pry or dig information out of anybody, but if you feel like sharing, if you're having struggles with addiction, you can share what you're struggling with exactly. Some things do require like professional help to come off of. I've had that kind of experience, and I've had the experience of coming off of substances that don't require like professional help, professional medical help. For example, quitting cigarettes for me is something that I can just dig my heels in the mud and get over. It really sucks. I don't like it. I love cigarettes. Cigarettes is my most favorite thing to do ever. I will never stop loving to smoke cigarettes. But unfortunately, they do cut the life expectancy of your avatar down quite considerably. So, with that in mind, like, I have to consider giving it up, even though I love it very much. It's my one of my favoriteest vices ever in the entire world. And it's so hard to have problems of addiction when it comes to, like, allowing yourself to participate in some shadow activities. The things, you know, in Hyperianism, things that are a part of yourselves that you should dabble in when you are craving some certain things, or you have certain desires. It's okay to explore desires. It's always encouraged to explore desires in Hyperianism, but some of that can overlap with problems with addiction. And with that, you have to be careful. And yeah, there's some cases in your lifetime where you're going to have to set some boundaries and some parameters for yourself that keep you safe in the long run. Sometimes we genuinely do have to give up something forever. Sometimes we can participate in certain things and do so in a healthy way and keep it there and are able to return to our normal lives without it in that desire coming up and interfering with our overall inner star actualization. So, dabbling in desires and giving into cravings and things like that with anything is okay. And I know it's cliche, but this is cliche for a reason. Moderation is key. Sometimes we can't have moderation. Sometimes it's either all or nothing. With me, that's how it is with cigarettes. Like, once I start smoking them, I can't stop. Like, once I pop, I don't stop. Though, like, that's something that I really have to watch myself with. It really sucks. Even just having one cigarette every once in a great while is difficult for me to just return to reality without smoking at all. But needless to say, I have tackled quitting smoking, and I've been smoking like quite considerably recently. Probably more, just a little over a half a pack a day. And I've quit smoking before, but before I was definitely smoking a lot more. I was smoking like a pack and a half a day. So more than a pack a day. Definitely a pack a day. And it was really difficult to stop that. And the only way that works for me to quit smoking cigarettes is to stop cold turkey and just face reality as it is without the cigarettes. That's a very difficult demon to face. Because when I think about it logically, I'm like, well, it's my choice. It's my body. I can do with it what I will, and I like inhaling this substance, and I can do it a lot, and I can just do it for days, and I want it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it's awesome. It's there for me all the time. It's there for me when I'm feeling sad. It's there for me when I'm feeling happy. It's there for me when I'm feeling bored. And it's there when I'm feeling, like, lively. Like, I love smoking cigarettes for any reason. But, you know, it has to stop eventually. So recently I have stopped that completely. I am now 1 week into being completely cold turkey. That's why I feel like I'm coughing a lot. Sorry, I know it sounds nasty. Anyways. So when it comes to approaching addiction as a Hyperian, I think it's definitely different than approaching overcoming addiction without Hyperianism, just because I think there's some valuable key bits of information that make it make more sense. And I'm going to get to that, but I really have to pee, and I'm sorry. I have to pee. I'm gonna hold it, but just give me a second. Talk amongst yourselves. Please share the video, and tell me please share if you're addicted to, if you're struggling with addiction. You don't have to share. You can just keep that in mind if you don't want to, because I know that's a kind of a personal question, but share with us, share with the class, raise your hand if you're struggling with addiction right now. And if it's cigarettes. That's how it be. Let's see. Hold on. Alright, sorry. This thing has a glitch in it. I've had it for seriously 10 years. And I think it's getting dusty. Anyways, hello, Joanna. Good to see you. So, for those who are just coming in, just know we are talking about facing addiction. I am quitting smoking. I have been cold turkey for a week now. And I have also struggled with other addictions more serious, such as alcohol. I have actually been hospitalized for an alcohol addiction before, where I've had to stay in a hospital for a week to come off it and be closely monitored as I go through the withdrawal symptoms, because alcohol, like many other things, require more medical intervention to help you come off it. You cannot just go cold turkey, because the withdrawal symptoms are so severe that they can be very dangerous. They can be extremely dangerous. And I figured that out firsthand when I was hospitalized. And this was, I think, 2017. I think so. I can't remember, around 2017-18, when I was hospitalized, and I was in the hospital for a week, and it was very bad. I had very bad tremors and shakes, and I had to be medicated and monitored constantly. My vitals were taken, I feel every 10 minutes. And that was a very dark and surreal experience. And I was very much Hyperian at that time, too. So it was surreal to be in that rock bottom experience without really any established, sort of more organized Hyperianism. And what I mean about that specifically is because I've come from an organized religious background, so that's what I'm used to. And in that hospital, I saw a lot of people have religious leaders and people come out, and gurus and stuff come and speak to them, and I was just thinking where's the Hyperian professional that comes and speaks to me in my dark times? It wasn't there. So that's what I mean by there wasn't anything organized, established, and so I felt like there was something missing. And it was also a moment where it's like, well, even though this is extremely difficult, I see something that needs to be done. At least I see something and recognize where there needs to be something in the world, and we need a lot more people to think very rationally, like Hyperians, to be in the field, the medical field, especially the mental medical field. But I don't want to bum people out with my sad story of being in the hospital, because the part that I want to focus on is how I used that moment to overcome my addiction. Like, what do you do when everything in the world has fallen apart so much that you just can't? Like, I don't know, like, if you grew up religiously, this would be a moment where you pray. But we're Hyperian, right? So what do we do in these dark, dark times? Because we don't pray to anything external from us. So what do we turn to when we are just like, I am losing my mind, I am losing my way, and I am just in a forest dark, and where is Virgil, and all this stuff? Like, what happens? What do you do? What I have found helpful, which is kind of difficult to do, is to just go in and give in to your own created higher power. And I say higher power in quotations because really it should be always understood that it is yourself, it is your higher self. But you can visualize your higher self as if it is separate from you, but not. You always have to hold in the center of your head, in the center of your reasoning and your psyche, that it is always you. But you can choose something, a visualization, or like I don't know, like this rock or something. I like this rock. I found it on the ocean, and it has fossilized seashell in it. Okay, that's cool. Like, if I'm just like at the end of my wits, I could be like, oh, great seashell rock, like, what do I do? And just like listen, and then just ultimately, even if it's personified, even though I understand deep down that it's me talking to myself, it helps when you're in an extremely dark moment, especially when you're dealing with addiction, or you're dealing with a rock bottom moment of your life, to personify your higher self and treat it as if it's something separate from you, just so you can process things and just be like, you know what, I give my will to you. You can be your own Jesus, like your own personal Jesus. Be your own personal Jesus. Save yourself, like literally. Like the word savior, as in Savior Jesus Christ, like savior, and then self, the word self. Like, be your own savior self. That is a legitimate way to, like, help guide yourself. Because ultimately, you're going to create a god and a deity in your head that helps you. That's going to be a hell of a lot more nurturing than relying on whatever popular religious god there is right now, the sky daddy from the Bible. Like, fuck that shit. Ugh. It's a very manipulative, weird sky daddy individual. So it's okay to sort of personify your higher self, as long as you always at the core of yourself realize it is you. And there's going to have to be a part of this journey where, even though you've sort of like personified it, you're coming to meet and become that again. And then when you don't have to, when you're not so desperate or whatever, if you're not so down, you're actually improving things and helping yourself and making steps and improvements and working on things, you don't have to personify that anymore. You can drop that. You don't have to use it as a crutch. That's what I feel like it is. It's like a mental crutch. It's like a trick. It could be like, I don't know, if you have like a figurine of a frog, and you're like, oh, great frog, like, and your frog's like, give your will to me, and you're like, okay, and then the frog's like, don't you drink, and you're like, okay, and that actually helps, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things that you can do to make work for yourself, but what I'm talking about, a lot of this stuff is the basic Alcoholics Anonymous approach, which at its core is religious, but if you take the template of it, if you take the template of the Alcoholics Anonymous, like the infamous like 12 steps, like, and put your own like God in there, your own higher power, it does work. I can't knock it. It does work. The only problem is I really have to get rid of the religious connotation and the religious spiritualism shit to it, the mainstream religion to it, because I also suffer from religious trauma syndrome. So it's a little ironic when I'm like, I really need to quit things that I'm going to because the religion was so traumatic. And in order to do that, I have to read material to get over that addiction that is religious, that drives me to the addiction. So that's very difficult to do. So the best way to do is to turn that around. And you know, for a longest time, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to acknowledge that because when I was in the hospital, I was in like the actual like mental facility portion of it, with like people who were going like mad and screaming in hysterics and being like clamped down and tied down to their beds, ankle, wrist. And I was pulled into a room, not like harshly pulled, like forced into a room, but I was put into a room where they were doing an AA meeting. And I picked up one of the book pamphlets, opened it up. One of the first things I read in there was something about giving your will to God. And as a Hyperian, I'm like, ah! And I dropped the book, like, ah! Oh, that's frightening. Like, no, we don't do that. And I had to leave the room instantly. I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm going to be giving my will to God. And it wasn't till I got out of the hospital and grew up a little, if you could say, and as far as inner star actualization is concerned, after I grew a little, I realized that's actually a really smart thing to do, as long as you create your own God, and it represents you, your higher self, that you're feeling separate from, and you work on pulling that together and bridging that gap. But yes, Paul Cherry, addiction is a very complicated thing. One size does not fit all. But one thing is for certain is, as a Hyperion, when you're dealing with issues of addiction, it's completely within the avatar perspective. So it's like within the brain. You are not your brain, you're a monad. And you're connected to your brain, but your brain is the thing, and through either life circumstances or sometimes through genetics, straight up genetics, we have addiction problems, but they are extremely physical. And this is what's so hard, is because problems of addiction hijack the narrative of your experiences of life. It hijacks the narrative of the qualia. It takes over what you're perceiving in reality, and it lies to you. Now, we know as Hyperians, we know that ultimately this reality is an illusion. So that is, in a way, a lie. But the lie that addiction tells you is a very harmful lie. It's a lie that convinces you if you do not do this thing, then this bad experience will happen. Like, it'll be very painful. It's trying to avoid pain. But it's all in your brain. And understanding that can be the first step to helping you get a hold of yourself, in a sense, because you realize, like, oh, this is my body, this is my avatar, this is not me as a monad, this is not me as a soul. I am not, like, eternally addicted forever. Like, there really is something going on chemically. And, you know, you can genuinely just enjoy things, and you gotta really watch yourself. I mean, I will never, ever stop loving cigarettes. I will always love cigarettes. I will always want to smoke a cigarette, but I can't, because once I pop, I don't stop. And it's endless, and I can just, like, do it over and over, and it's just gonna shorten my life expectancy of my avatar. The reason why I want to increase that, and the reason why I want to be healthy, is to create a good balance between mind and body. Sometimes it's very difficult. We've got genetics, we've got things and chemical reactions going on in our brain that make it severely difficult to navigate in this reality, in this holos. Depression also works like this. Depression is a big liar, in a very devastating sense, that it affects you so negatively. It throws a huge wrench into your inner star actualization. And a huge portion of inner star actualization is taking control and taking hold of your life and your destiny, and becoming a conscious player in this game, and gaining control and power. So when you have problems like addiction and depression and stuff like that, that makes it difficult to do that. It makes it difficult to take a hold of your life and make better decisions for yourself that lead you to places that, make you a very productive person, and ultimately the best version of yourself that you can possibly be in this life. So it's so hard, especially when, you're dealing with things like if addiction runs in your family, and it's generational. It's almost like you feel cursed, right? You're just naturally, like, in this avatar that has this glitch and this function that you have to work, dysfunction that you have to work around. But understanding that it's not you as a monad can help put it into perspective, and can help some feelings of depression and feelings of helplessness. Like, you can do something, but you have to exercise some sort of, like, self-kindness, where you have to work on it. You have to do that favor for yourself by working on it, but you also have to be kind to yourself and not expect the whole journey of it to be perfect. This is not a perfect ballet. Like I said in the very beginning, like, it's an ugly process. You're gonna ugly cry. You're gonna you're gonna ugly dream. You're gonna ugly breathe. You're gonna ugly everything. It's a very ugly process, but it's worth it. It's worth it because, like any form of exercise, also this mental exercise of overcoming addiction and working with yourself and doing what you need to do for yourself in order to live a healthy life, even if you still have the addictive feelings, like, you could still live a good life, but you have to do that. What am I trying to say? Yeah, you understand. I lost my thought as I was saying it. I was going in a good direction. You just gotta work, it's worth it to work on this, because you can gain a lot in a lifetime with these challenges. You can still achieve a lot in inner star actualization with these factors added that make it difficult for you to become the best version of yourself. Yeah, I totally hear. I see that's the I'm seeing people express right now, like, I'm trying to control it, but like it's so hard. Like, that's addiction. That's addiction. Addiction wants to control you so badly, like, and it's just an instant compulsive thing. It's like dreaming, having a dream and you're not lucid in it, but you're just starting to become lucid enough. That's the game. You got to start becoming lucid about your addiction and start stopping yourself. And it's learning to control and play with these compulsory habits, these compulsions, these things. It's like when somebody hits you in the knee with like a little hammer, like your knee jerks. It's like these are knee jerk things. Addiction is not like a long thoughtful process of like, I better not, but I guess I will. Like, you're just like, you're there, you're having it. It's learning to recognize and categorize like everything of the addiction is in the avatar perspective. The avatar perspective is the perspective that you are living as if you are a video game character in a video game, you actually think you're the character. And if you're in the monadic perspective, you're on the couch playing the game and you know you're not the character. And we have the absolute perspective, which is above and beyond that. You recognize that you are everything and everything, everybody and everything. But down in the avatar perspective, in this qualia, in this brain mode, this avatar mode, everything is very compulsory. It's very animalistic. It's just like a knee-jerk reaction. It's just the dreaming without it being lucid. You know, we are just going along with the dream narrative. It's becoming lucid of that helps us become more powerful, become more complete, become more whole, come together. Like, so categorizing addiction and realizing it's purely in the avatar perspective and it's not you as a monad. You're not going to carry that on from lifetime to lifetime. Unless you happen to reincarnate as your own great-great-great-grandson or daughter or child. Like, maybe then you'll be nailed with the genetics one more round, but it is something that you can overcome, and it's something that there's a lot of rational medical study in, and as religious as a lot of the Alcoholics Anonymous program is, you can take that template and you can create your own sort of version of your higher self that's personified and godlike and guides you and gives you guidance and information and messages and tells you and helps you get through your addiction, your daily compulsory thing. So when you have a compulsion, you could be like, oh, let me pray to my higher self here for a second before I do this. And it can help you get through it. Eventually, you need to get rid of that gap, bridge things together, and realize that's you, and learn how to evolve. Sometimes higher parts of ourselves and higher parts of our reasoning seem foreign and seem just different and just separate from us at first, until we get used to that way of thinking and we keep practicing that way of thinking, then we realize it's very natural and it is ourselves. We don't see it as separate so much anymore. So anyways, thank you so much, everybody, for coming to my Monday live stream. I hope that little pep talk about addiction helps. That is the way you approach it from a Hyperian, as a Hyperian, is you make sure to categorize and become aware of where that is in your psyche. But if anybody else wants to join me on my journey of facing addiction and getting back into health, you can do so by joining Patreon, patreon.com/JenEricksonOfficial. There you can get access to a Discord server in which you can have more one-on-one conversations and interaction with me. That is also where you can share links to videos and things for me to take a look at and see if we will react to it on the Friday live stream. So that is also a good place to give me suggestions for that, because I don't accept them from anywhere else, just the patrons on Discord. So please do that. Once again, patreon.com/JenEricksonOfficial. And please subscribe if you haven't. I go live at least once a week, but I'm trying to work on doing twice a week now. Monday crew is so cool. It's like it's different from the Friday crew, but it's really awesome. Thank you so much, Paul Cherry, for coming and sharing. Zero says, I recently kicked my addiction to Monday Monad and replaced it with Mindful Monad. Thank you. Yes. Yes, we still, if nobody has heard yet or hasn't noticed yet, we have changed from Monday Monad to Mindful Monad, but we still do some things on Mondays. So thank you so much for coming, Cassidy and Joanna. Thank you all for coming. And luckily we didn't have too much trouble today with anything. Anyways, well, have a good week, everybody, and I look forward to seeing you all on Friday. Let's go ahead and do a Friday live stream, and let's find something interesting to react to. And with that being said, I bid you all farewell. Thank you all very much for coming, and yes, if you can help support by tipping, tips help very tremendously. I love tips, I appreciate tips, and I am not afraid to ask for tips, so please tips. The link is up here. Please tip at mindfulmonad.com. That's where is best to support me, and soon I'm sure we will be in the position where we can have like memberships and stuff for YouTube. We will be to the fancy YouTube stuff where we can have like our own personal like and emojis and stuff, personal emojis and stuff. So we are getting there, we are climbing, and yes, anyways, looking forward to seeing you all on Friday. Have a good week, and Loppy Lumps are going to be sent out this week too, just so you know, for those of you who are waiting. Alright, and scene.